Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by somebody that I was so proud to be able to share the screen with, someone that is an inspiration to me, Johnny Salutare. How you doing today, man?
What's up, man? It's great to see you. Excited to do this. Long time coming. We talked about it, so back on set. So
Yeah.
glad we got to make it happen.
And it's funny because Johnny is a model, actor, a little bit of a jack of all trades. Been very busy lately. I know we can't talk too much about the things you're doing, but is there anything you can let us know that you've been up to?
I guess as part of the project you and I met on, it really helped me zero in on like character type and that kind of thing. And I came home excited and recharged. And I got in a great photo shoot recently to go ahead and cover like specific character types for headshots, and then also from the modeling thing. And like got real specific. I could say because it's not any like secret, but I actually did a fun one that was inspired by like one of my idols is Marky Mark, and how his arc of career kind of tied into acting things about like where he started, where he went, and like where he broke into, and now what he's doing as a a producer and like all the shows he's created and been a part of. So I did an ode to him. I did a Marky Mark, the cowboy jeans all the way down and the hat, the whole nine. It was pretty exciting.
That's legit part of the Funky Bunch, man.
Exactly, bringing it back.
So one thing that's going to be really fun about this episode is Johnny is not much of a horror guy. So this is something that is fun for me because, not everybody has an infatuation with horror the way that I do, and the way that things roll sometimes is a little bit different. But before we get started with that, I want to remind everybody, make sure you're checking him out. All his social media links are down here in the description. Make sure you're giving him a follow so you can check out all the things he's up to. You're not going to regret it. This is one of the coolest guys I've ever met. And like I said, we were on set. He gave me a whole lot of pointers. He was really helpful. And it was really hard to stand next to probably the most handsome guy on the face of the planet the whole time I was acting down there. So, Johnny, man, this really means a lot that you were willing to come on. And I wish you nothing but success in the future. But for right now, sir, I want to take it back to the past. And I want to talk about the first horror movie you watched that got you started in the genre. And your first horror movie was?
Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger. Old school. So I got introduced to movies through. Look at this guy, no. So I got a really.
And it's funny because
story.
Well, it's funny because not everybody watches their first horror movie and then is like, "Oh, this is so amazing! I want to do this forever." Sometimes people watch their first horror movie and they're like, "Fuck this," So, how old were you when you seen Nightmare for the first time?
I mean, honestly, dude, I must have been around like 10ish. Give or take a year, more like give, not take. I wasn't less than 10. Like child services, okay, it was the 80s. Okay. You were allowed to do a lot of stuff to kids that you're not allowed to do now, and we're still here and doing good. Like me and this guy, look.
He said he was under 10. You guys hear that? He was under 10. Get him. Go now.
It's all right. She's not here anymore. You can't even get her in trouble. So that's kind of how it happened. My grandmother managed a video store. It was like a pretty big one, not a full-on Blockbuster, but just under the size of a Blockbuster. Yep, and it was pretty wild because I spent the whole summer there when I was about 10 years old. Like I said, the whole summer, just me and my little brother, and we had this place wired, man. I mean, not only did we get to watch any movie, I was pretty much watching rated R movies at this point. I actually ended up getting turned to when people came in to rent the movies, adults were talking to me. I would give them like critiques and like, watch this, don't watch this. This is what it was, this is how it wasn't. Then it was like the age of the 80s action movies like Commando and all those, and all the classic horror movies that we're getting to. So, yeah, it was pretty wild. So this is actually a tattoo.
That's fucking awesome.
So this is this.
Then you just put the Grandma Land with it.
This is Movie Land, and then on this one, it's the Grandma Land, because it's an ode to a tattoo I did with her husband who drove a hostess truck. And
that's
the hostess
so
logo
rad,
with Grandpa. Dude. So Grandma let me watch anything, and she was really big into horror. She loved horror movies, and she loved all the Freddy Kruegers, man. She loved the Jasons. She loved Halloween. Loved horror movies. Tried to get me into them as a kid. She put them on, and what was cool is it doesn't scare the hell out of me. It's kind of like if you ever see it's like a little smaller movie with Barry Pepper and Vin Diesel and John Malkovich back in the day called Knockaround Guys. And this kid gets taken into a, you've seen it? Yeah, you've probably seen it. He gets taken into a basement by basically by the consigliere of his father. And the guy tells him, the guy responsible for your father's, going to jail, take him out. And the kid was young, basically a little older than me, but young. And he didn't do it. And then he was scared away from being in the game and being in the life and etc. So that's what Grandma did for me in movies, basically, for horror movies. She did teach me a great trick with it. I mean, listen, I like them, my thing with horror movies, and even to this day, like I never really got back into them because I stick to the action comedy. Listen, I'm a rom-com guy. I'll watch a rom-com by myself, no problem, on record now officially. No, I would be happily do it. Just the horror movies, there's too much, and like especially with like the way they went with the gore, and it's less. I can do suspensey, you know, what I mean? Like go like the Saw stuff. I can't. Nightmare on Elm Street because it was like suspense. Like, yeah, that was that bad character, and granted, the '80s character, you know, the graphics didn't scare the shit out of you like they do now, but
right.
Yeah, she taught me a great trick about shutting off the volume. If you shut the volume off of a horror movie or anything scary, boom, no more scary. That was pretty cool, and I still use it to this day, even as a grown man.
And it's funny because that goes to show how important. I just talked about this. The score and the sound is to a horror movie. You know, like that really can set the tone, or it can completely ruin a film all the way around.
Yep, 100%.
And this is funny because something that you and I have talked about. And I want to put this out there. You bring a lady back to the house. She wants to watch a horror movie.
I'm glad you remembered that one. I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny, man. Chicks dig horror movies. They're all about them. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I've met my fair share of ladies that they like the rom-com. They like action, though. Sometimes they'll just be all about fighting movies, which is cool. Like, you know, you're always like, oh, wow, an extra thing we have in common. You know, it's fun. But a lot of times you have to fight that little, you know, the little innocent battle of, no, I don't really fight. I'm not watching a horror movie. It's just not on the table. But why? No, Parasite this or this or that. I'm just like, listen, we've been here before. I'm not watching that. Like, not watching
right.
it. Right? You know what I mean? You have tons of time. You can watch that movie with someone that you're going to really enjoy watching it with. Like, it's not like I don't watch anything but one thing. I watch a lot of things, just not a lot of horror. But I did, like we were talking before. Like, I messed around with the movie, what was it? The Haunting on Bly?
The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yeah. Like, I watched that whole series again. The young lady wanted to watch, and you know, I got into watching one of them. And this is actually kind of funny where this one goes. But I dug that one. I mean, I don't know if that counts as full-on horror. It's not really that scary, but you know, it'll definitely freak you out. But here's the whole reason with me in the horror thing, especially now that I'm a full-on committed, knowing that I'm an actor, especially as growing up, like I'm very empathic. So when I watch a movie, that stuff sticks with me for at least the next day, if not longer. You know, if it's a serious one, like if I watched Memento, where the guy had lost his memory. And the whole next day I was driving a lot for work, right? So I was driving all day. There I am by myself and my thoughts in the car. I'm like, yo, did that happen? Did I do that? Like, did this happen? I was like, I was tripped up for the whole day. So now you put me in a horror mentality where people get mutilated, the guy's going to sit there in suspense, and then forget it. If it's one of those where they don't really catch the guy at the end and he's maybe still out there, you want me to drive around or drive at night? Might go to visit my mother's house. I step outside for a smoke and I'm sitting out in the woods and I got to worry about that guy. I sense the demon's behind me. No, you know, listen, that's how I get, man. Same thing, but listen, it's the same dichotomy of like a really good emotional scene. I'll, you know, cry. The triumphant move in the game gets me every time. The woman getting the guy's back, dude, I'm crying definitely. You know what I mean? Or the partners getting the partners back. Doesn't have to be man or woman. Just anyone like where they come up and step in. Even when the guy gets his like best friend situation where they come in and like really come through and you relate to. Damn, man, I wish I had someone come through me like that.
Yeah, dude.
I remember someone doing it where it's like always like, damn, that'd be nice.
See, I'm lucky in that aspect. I know my wife for 16 years. We met in high school and we're still going strong. So that's one thing that I'm very, thank God.
I know, bro. When you told me that, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, listen, I already said I'd come on the show. You don't have to butter me up. You don't have to lie to me and tell me there's hope out there. But yeah, that was a good one. That was a cool, I conceded in that regard. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, I'll give this. I'm a Sebastian Maniscalco fan, and I always think about it. Every time I go to think about something where I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try. I can't not think of one of his bits is about how he talks about, he comes home, he tells his wife he had a little thing at the gym, which is a funny ass scene. And then she's like, why don't you just come with me? She's like, he's all right, I'll go with you. I'll go to that soul cycle. I'll see what that soul cycle is all about. Every time I say something, I cannot do it. But yeah, I dug it. I can, like I said, I can do those kind of moves. Those are like good by me. They're not that, you know,
it's funny because starting with Nightmare on Elm Street is a way to definitely, if for someone that is kind of iffy on the fence about horror, that's definitely a way to push them the wrong way. Because, I mean, with this movie, you have so many influential scenes that, you know, right off the rip, I mean, Johnny Depp in the waterbed, you know, when he gets sucked down into the waterbed, and then you just see the blood fountain of gallons and gallons and gallons of blood going up to the ceiling.
All 80s glory.
Yeah. And the thing about Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street is that is a practical effect, wet dream, no pun intended with the waterbed. But I mean, the practical effects in this movie are so great. I mean, even when you get like Rod, Jesus Garcia, when the bed sheet wraps around his neck and then it drags him off and hangs him in the jail cell. These are scenes. I have a buddy that did the show, and he told me that after he had watched Nightmare on Elm Street, he didn't sleep with sheets on his bed for years because that scene affected him so much. So that's why this one I could totally see this pushing people over the edge the other way. But on the flip side of that, The Haunting of Bly Manor, you said you don't know if you would consider that a horror. I'm one of the people that, to me, horror is what you make it, because you can't say this is what makes a horror movie. With comedy, for me, it's got to make me laugh. If it's a drama, it's got to make me feel something. If it's action, there's got to be that racing pump, but with horror, you can't say, well, there's got to be death. There's death in Bambi. There's got to be blood. There's blood in ER. Right. Horror for me, I consider Terminator a horror movie. I consider Jurassic Park a horror movie.
In that case, I'm a huge horror fan.
Well,
you got me. You got me there.
I mean, he even said when he was making the movie that he was trying to make the sci-fi Michael Myers. That's what he was aiming for, James Cameron, with the Terminator. And I mean, Jurassic Park, the part with the raptor and the kitchen is slasher, man. Like, that's totally slasher. And if you consider Jaws a horror movie and not Jurassic Park, I mean, goddamn, those dinosaurs are scary as shit.
Dude, for real. And it's funny, actually, about the whole lie thing. So at the time, a friend of mine, with everything going on in COVID, they had a store go out of business that was like one of those clothing kind of stores, and they were just getting rid of everything. We're going to throw all this stuff away. And I got like a virtual tour of it, and there was a lot of really cool stuff, So one of them ended up being, and it was really exciting. It was I noticed from a gig I did a while back, I already had a mannequin, right?
Okay.
And it was black. And then I noticed in the tour, there was some mannequins there. One of them was white, one of them was gray. And I'm an artist on the side. You actually see a painting here. I should, Mom hasn't seen that yet. So she has seen some of it. I was one of those mom, listen, I'm making you a gift. But I just can't finish it. And I don't want you to think I didn't get you anything. So I'm going to show it to you unfinished, but we're almost there.
Right.
So anyway, so I had these mannequins, and I had the idea of doing an art installation because it was right in the heart of COVID, or right in the heart of all the issues that we were going through in our society, in our country. And I got a just really great idea. And I was going to take all of the mannequins and line them up against probably like a black or a white, like canvas or a tarp or something big. It was like, we're big. They were full, like 6 foot, right? Yeah. And I'm going to stand them up, and then I was going to Jackson Pollock paint that splatter effect across the board, right? All the different colors, all the different sides, and they were all female in sex, which is a really big issue that was going on in the society, obviously still going on, right? It's going to be going on. So they were all going to be different, but at the same time, when I pull them back, the shadows in the negative space would show their shadow would be the same. And then in front, they would all still kind of look a little different, but then be the same. And splatter effect also kind of showing all the dramatic things that were happening to us at the time. Then they would all have the masks on too. So it would be, and they would be 6 feet apart, and it would be a good art installation for our social dynamic at the time.
Yeah.
But living in Astoria in New York City, I have a nice size space. Luckily, I'm very lucky to have what I have. But having these tall mannequins around for a while, I was like, dude, what am I going to do when I get it set up? I have to have someone buy it, set it up, have it sitting around all this time. I can't be doing that. I have like square footage, man. So I had them standing up in the corner near my bedroom. So every day I walked out of my bedroom, I'd be seeing these things. So anyway, we watch the show. I go walking out to go get a drink, probably, who knows. And there was just a sliver of space where you could see. And one of the white ones was like one of the first ones I saw, and it looked just like the demon, the spirit from Bly.
Yeah,
I scared myself good, man. It was so.
Well, did you see the first one, The Haunting of Hill House?
So I think I saw bits and pieces of some of those, but never actually like sat down and watched it, because like that one was so, honestly, that one had me so good. We sat and watched it like one of those binge sessions, just like an all day game on. Let's do it, and it was cool. Like,
I love The Haunting of Bly Manor, but to me, The Haunting of Hill House is superior. But I mean, that's like saying I like red Starburst to pink Starburst. If I get a pink one, I'm still going to eat the fucking thing. They're still good, but I think that The Haunting of Hill House, there's a lot of emotion that goes with that, with, overcoming addiction and mental illness that wasn't a part of Bly Manor. And Flanagan's a fucking genius, man. I love all that he does. He is my king, man. Like, he can do no wrong for me. I think he's an absolute genius in the genre, man.
So I did good. If I was going to have one for us to at least talk about that's kind of modern, I picked a good one, right?
Yes, man.
Right.
I love Bly Manor. I love Hill House, and a lot of the cast is the same in these two films, or in the two series. So if you get a chance, I would strongly recommend checking out Hill House, especially if you were such a fan of Bly Manor, because in Flanagan-esque fashion, it's all about love too. Like, love is the main circle around everything. Everything's happening around them, but love is the reason that they're all going. And it's got a pretty cool twist at the end of it. Scary twist.
I can, Well, I've grown into it now, especially with everything that's going on with the career thing, and maybe what's going on with the show. I need to be one of those things, like, you need to be a little versed in it. So, and plus it's the right time of year. It's bright, it's sunny out. So it's kind of hard to be super scared when it's that nice out, It's like, you're really upset that it's 80 degrees out. I go outside and like, all right, I'll be scared about that later on when it's quiet and dark, but for now we'll be good.
So if you got the chance to be in a straight horror film, would you jump at that opportunity?
Oh yeah, man, 100%. Because I mean, the thing about it, like, for that part, how I would feel and like that empathic experience would benefit what I'm doing for it.
Sure.
Whereas during my life, as if I'm not acting, I'm working as a fitness professional, like a lifestyle mindset coach. I don't need to be in a negative space or worried about and have any that meditation coaching. So I need my mind like clear, happy, fun, like zoned in. No, I would have no problem. I would actually enjoy doing it. Because what we do with the show is a little in the supernatural realm, right? So, and that was cool. I have no problem going there and being there from a professional standpoint. It's just from
Philly Lawless
standpoint. Yeah.
I loved it, man. It was I can't wait to share more about it. Like I said, guys, it was the St. Gabriel show that we were on. I have a link down here in the description. It is our behind the scenes interviews from the St. Gabriel that when we were there on set. It was a blast.
That was great.
Yeah, we had
especially because it was so cold. I was like, yeah, dude, I'll happily talk to you for as long as you like in this nice warm trailer.
As long as we can stay in the camper, we'll just stay here forever.
I am good. Yes, I didn't really watch a lot of horror, but I'm okay admitting it. I'm a scaredy cat sometimes. Yeah, right. I'm a warm scaredy cat right now.
Well, see, and honestly, like I've said before, that's what I love. Like, you don't always get that person that watches, Friday the 13th and then becomes a horror cinephile. Like you said, you watch Nightmare on Elm Street, you were kind of just like, fuck this. This guy comes for me in my dreams. Suck a butt. I'm done with this shit,
And my grandmother, because I stay there, my grandmother's living room was like that old school, like wood paneling, dark, and especially we were watching every other crazy movie under that was available to us at that time. So between that and then who knows what else we were watching, you got the Predator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a horror movie, but that'll scare the hell out of you, especially as a kid. So you get the Predator, then you got Schwarzenegger being in both movies, and you throw a little Freddy Krueger into the mix, and you got a young guy not really sleeping.
I totally consider Predator a horror movie too. Completely, totally.
So, I've watched horror. I watched Alien. That'll get you every time. Alien will get you. I mean, I've seen some pretty. There it is.
Yeah, Predator is my dude, man. I love Predator.
Talk about a franchise that revitalized the time and again, huh? I mean, that's
what are you talking about? Alien vs. Predator is one of the greatest things ever because, like you were just saying, Alien, another one. People are like, that's a sci-fi movie. I'm like, fuck you. That is a horror movie. The tagline of that movie is "In space, no one can hear you scream," which is the best tagline for any movie ever. And look, I love Alien. I love Predator. And again, horror is what you make it. When I watch film, I'm much like you. I put myself in that film. If I'm fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator, I'm shitting all over myself. The minute I see those bodies torn apart hanging from the trees, I'm out. That's a wrap, bro.
And you see it kind of moving through the trees and you don't know how, where, or why.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And again, horror is such a subjective genre that most people don't. The Day After Tomorrow or 2012, end of the world movies are total horror movies to me, man, because those scare me more than any Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Leprechaun.
Especially nowadays, dude.
End of the world movies get me way worse than those do. My anxiety goes nuts when I watch them.
Seeing all those, I'm with you. Definitely. They fall through the mall, not realizing they're on a friggin' mall top like ceiling, and then they're sitting.
Dude, yes. So
actually, you know what's funny to mention it now that you bring that up about the whole like horror film, like, and etc. And I actually was just telling my mom this the other day too, is that I remember having a dream when I was a little kid, and it was around when I was staying at my grandmother's house. Maybe it was that summer, I don't remember, but I remember feeling like I was getting entombed. I was like stuck in like bowels of just getting like grinded up and like almost like buried alive kind of a thing. And then fast forward, rewind now back to 2011. I went backpacking. I was in Italy and I went to Pompeii. And in truth, I really didn't know the story. Like I never made the connection with everything that happened there. And then I like eavesdropped on some of the tours that was around to like really hear some of the backstory, etc. Then you heard the story about it. There was a mom that like protects the baby, and there's actually a statue of the like I don't know exactly what that's called, the sarcophagus, basically,
yeah,
right, with the lava just made on, right. And I remember walking up one of the streets and just one of the and I looked up. I was like, man, I had the most surreal feeling. I believe we lived many times as a soul coming back and back, and I believe I lived in Pompeii. So I'm not sure if it was a really scary movie that just either tapped a nerve or I was just reliving it and it was just so surreal, or it was a tap back into that old memory of when I was there. Yeah. But I still have that, like that was I've never had a recurring situation with it, but I remember it to this day now, a long time ago.
And it's funny how you can see something, 20 years later, and it transports you right back to that moment of being stuck in your bed, looking up and just feeling that fear and not knowing what's going on.
And it's crazy because that's really the only fear I have, like in terms of like phobias. I'm not scared of I'm not really like claustrophobic in like closed spaces, but I can't not be able to move. Like if I was stuck in yeah, no dice. You want to talk about
being buried alive?
I smacked my head. Exactly. I smacked my head playing on concrete steps in the Bronx when my dad was playing softball. Right. One of those, like your uncle tells you to stop, you don't stop, and then you crack your head open, like right out of the movie. Blood everywhere, the whole thing, go to the hospital. And it was like a little kid. They put me in one of those, like, like the waistband, like the rubber like waistband things people wear around to like sweat, right? Kind of like one of those, but it was like to like keep people still. And I was a little kid, like I was little. So they wrapped me up in one of those and I rolled right off the thing because I was so scared of that.
Yeah, fuck, dude. And again, that's something traumatic for you that you remember. So that really brings it to a 10, man. So I know that, Johnny, you're not much into horror films, but I do got to go scream on you here for a second because everybody's got to have one.
Okay.
What's your favorite scary movie? If you had to choose your favorite horror movie, and I know you're not a huge fan of the genre, but if you had to choose one to say was your favorite, what would you say your favorite scary movie is?
Well, I'm super lucky that you've mentioned now having all those like non-traditional, let's call them non-traditional horror movies included in the genre, because that gives me a lot more to play with. With that being said, you know what? I do know exactly, and I think this will count, and I take it back. Maximum Overdrive.
Fuck, yes, that counts.
Mic drop.
Yes, dude. Honey, this machine just called me an asshole.
Honey, come on over here, sugar buns. This machine just called me an asshole.
Easily my favorite, one of my favorite movies, period, let alone horror movies. I love that movie. Emilio Estevez, because again, like that was the heyday of 80s movies, man. Like you name it. You and I know, and a lot of people that really watch movies that know the weirdest collection of movies. Yeah, I made up a little word there. It's okay. We're going to pretend. But I like that. That one, Intangible Eyes. I made them up. But like to make something tangible. But yeah, Maximum Overdrive, hand down. Talk about that face mask. Remember the weird like clown?
The clown, the green.
Yeah, dude. No way. And then
and there's so many parts of that movie, like you're talking about, is it a horror movie? Man, when the kids are playing baseball, then they go to get the drinks and the machine comes to life and it hits the coach in the face with the can.
Slaughter.
And the one little boy gets ran over by the cement roller, just crushes that little boy like a fucking toothpaste tube, like the very beginning when the drawbridge goes up and the watermelons are coming down and hit and everything. Fucking grew up with Maximum Overdrive, dude, for two reasons. One, I also grew up in a video store. My parents owned a video store called Downtown Video.
Look at that.
And my dad, not much of a horror fan, but my dad is a huge AC/DC fan.
Oh,
And
okay.
AC/DC did the whole soundtrack of Maximum Overdrive.
Really?
You know? Yeah.
Cool.
If you go back and rewatch it now as an adult, you'll see.
Yeah.
There's like 13
That is
AC/DC.
I remember The Rock being dope in that movie. That I remember. That was like really,
Yeah.
that was like heart of like again back to the 80s stuff, man. We had it. That was the heart of The Rock.
Dude, and the guy that's always got the cigar in his mouth, you need to watch what you're saying, Bubba. Like the most cliche 80s fucking people in that movie,
They
man.
line up, they finally give in and say they're gonna give him the gas, and then everybody's sitting there, and then they're finally out and they start like rubbing on him, like the sign.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Yep.
Such a great choice, dude. I'm so
they blow
glad
up the
you said
They
that.
blow up. They finally blow up the ice cream truck.
Yes, with the rocket launch. The one kid does it, man. He's like, "This is for my dad."
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
such a great movie, and like the insensitivity in that movie. Like when he's like, "Where's my dad?" He's like, "Dad bit the big one out there with one of those things." You know, like he's like the most insensitive shit ever.
Yeah. Oh, he'll be right back. Oh no, I forgot. He won't. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He's fucking dead.
Oh, you were a kid 13 seconds ago. Guess what? That shit's over.
You're a man now.
Guess what? Life's not usually this fucking hard, but it's tough. Welcome to it. Thanks a lot.
Right?
I feel better.
Well, man, Johnny, don't go anywhere, man. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching. Again, make sure you're clicking the links down here in the description because you're gonna want to give this guy a follow. I love watching his posts. I love everything he does. He's a busy guy. If he's not acting, he's modeling, he's working. I got all of it down here so you guys can follow it for yourselves. But
Dude,
until next time,
much,
guys.
Man. That means so much for me. I appreciate it.
No, it really, honest to God, man. And I love watching you. You're a good friend now, and it's always fun to communicate with you. Today, I'm not going to say why or how, but you openly made me laugh out loud, which doesn't happen very often. So that is something that when it happens, I appreciate it more than anybody can know. So, yeah, like I said, man, don't go anywhere. Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon. Oh, fucking legit.